Hey, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome back to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB Network, your home for Los Angeles football. Training camp, obviously, in full swing, and our main man, Ryan Skinny T. Anderson, has been there every day, bringing you all the latest news and updates, tons and tons of articles on LAFBnetwork.com. So make sure to head over there and check that out. It's good stuff, and it helps support us. We appreciate it. But obviously, here we are talking all things. Practice on Tuesday just wrapped up. So we're able to get Skinny on here right from LMU. I'm guessing you're looking at the practice field from where you are standing. Looks like you got some color on your face. Brother, how you doing?
Doing fantastic, man. 2 padded practices in a row, back to back. Good energy both days. Beautiful weather. Can't ask for more than that. I'm living the dream.
Yeah, it was a beautiful day. I mean, you got probably LMU is like pretty like up on that bluff next to the pretty close to the ocean. You guys probably get a nice little breeze there, yeah.
Yeah, I'm standing in the shadows and I am shivering a little bit. If you can imagine that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up here in the I guess we're not the true valley, but Pasadena is like the start of the valley. A little warmer today, but it was cooler than it's been. I think the last few days were like high 90s. Today was like high 80s. So I'm like, I always take that. So, but yeah, LMU, I'm sure was beautiful. But before we get into it, show is always brought to you by our friends at BetOnline. Head to betonline.ag today. Use our promo code BELIEVE. It's going to get you a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Plenty of fun futures on there, as we say every show. Matthew Stafford, MVP. Take it. Take the money. That's our boy, Matthew Stafford for MVP. Rams, I feel like I forget every time what their over-under win total. I think it's like 8.5 is their win total.
Yep.
Smashing the over on that. But all that can be at betonline.ag. Promo code BELIEVE. Tell them the LAFB Network and the guys at the Rams Skinny sent you. All right, but anyway, so Skinny T, let's start with, I guess it's some kind of bad news, I guess, if you will. It's still early on, but unfortunately, every year when training camp starts, injuries happen. Guys are back from the off season. You're pushing muscles, doing things and necessarily movements you don't do. Yeah, these guys are in the gym working out all the time, but being in the gym and being on the field is a little different. We talked last week, obviously, about Darius Williams and kind of his tricky injury that they got to navigate. Got a great article up on LAFBnetwork.com. And also, obviously, Derion Kendrick with the torn ACL out for the season. But some new injuries this early part of this week and even today. Nothing seems too serious, but I'll toss it to you. What can you tell us about any new injuries and any updates from Coach McVay?
Yeah, a couple of interesting notes along the offensive line and the injury front anyway. Alaric Jackson tweaked his ankle yesterday. McVay not worried about it, but did not practice today. Kind of a mantra that is a little bit new, it seems like, for McVay is you got to practice to get better. And so even though you're missing some of these days and they'll probably be ready to go, we still want these guys improving at this time. This is the time to improve. The other one, kind of a surprise, Jonah Jackson, towards the end of practice today, stepped away. No updates on that from McVay whatsoever. So just another thing to keep an eye on. He kind of came in with some injury history towards meniscus at the end of the year in the playoffs. Actually missed their last game against the 49ers. So another thing just to keep an eye on, not speculating about severity on any of this stuff. But on the good news, Tre'Davious White out there looking great. Sean McVay took a moment to praise his performance over the last couple of days. Some big PBUs and just a lot really energetic and excited to be out there. So one of those guys that we had a little question mark next to about their health, because he obviously has suffered several debilitating injuries over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So that is great to see. I don't know if it's great that we should get updates, and McVay usually is pretty open and honest about it. Did you see Jim Harbaugh, Chargers coach, his like PSA had two days ago or whatever, basically just saying like, I don't have to update you guys anything on injuries, and I won't until the league forces me to, like during the preseason. Did you see that?
I didn't see that, but I saw his he's worrying about HIPAA violations, and the NFL is not under the auspices of the Department of Health or whatever.
Yeah.
So another weird John Harbaugh thing out there.
Yeah, just he's an interesting guy, great coach. The gift that keeps giving for content. Him and McVay though very different. Both great, obviously, and McVay's great for content too, but just Jim Harbaugh's just
Very
kind of strange. It's fun though. It's fun. But anyway, question for you. And I don't know how, but I'm sure you saw this a little bit today because they were in pads. So when Alaric Jackson was out, who was playing left tackle for our Rams? Who was start? Because unfortunately, guys are going to get banged up in the season. So who has early on? What is it? 6 practices in? Who was lining up at left tackle with Jackson out?
Noteboom.
Your guy.
He is the highest paid backup in the league, I believe, at left tackle, and he was in there today. So getting him some good reps, and they had some one-on-ones, pass rush drills today, and I think the first team defense won out on those. Not singling Joe Noteboom out on that, but it's nice to see that this young defensive line is going up toe to toe with these the more veteran offensive line group.
Yeah, no, that's great. So yeah, hopefully Jonah Jackson is more just precautionary and kind of lingering from that injury you mentioned, because obviously that was kind of a concern, and we talked about when you sign a guard of his caliber to as much money as they did, but he comes with the injury baggage. That's unfortunate. The Rams, unfortunately, have been stung a bit before by getting injury-riddled guys, more so in the draft and free agency. But usually when they play the gamble that the guy will all of a sudden get healthy, it hasn't usually happened. So hopefully Jonah Jackson can kick that trend. He'll just be very precautionary. Obviously, he's not going to play any preseason games, but obviously you'll have updates for us as that continues to progress. And
one note on that, on Joe Noteboom. Coach McVay said he is an extension of the starters. He thinks of them as a group of 6, not a group of 5 starters. So an interesting way to look at it. I'm not sure exactly what that means in practicality, but that's how Coach is looking at it.
Love it. And I guess I should ask, with Jonah Jackson out, who's slotted in at guard there?
I actually didn't notice that he left, so I didn't make that note. I saw those updates with the rest of you, so unfortunately I didn't see that.
Yeah, at the end. So.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll know more tomorrow, obviously, I'm sure. So quickly, I want to talk about this young defense. That's been the big question mark we've talked about a ton, Skinny, is like, what are they going to look like? And Kobie Turner hasn't been out there, which obviously that would be catastrophic for this team, but that obviously means a lot of reps for other guys, which is great. You wrote just last night after practice how defense won the day. I think I'm paraphrasing. You can get into what you wrote about, but that's got to be very positive and very exciting for fans, that this loaded offense and this very young, very new, very inexperienced defense, even missing some key players, is kind of balling out there already. So talk about the defense a little bit.
What I've been really the most impressed with is the run defense. Obviously they're not tackling to the ground. They're just doing what they call thud tackling, which is, still impressively physical, but the running game, I've seen several instances where guys have read it perfectly. They're in the backfield, tackles for loss left and right from everybody across the board. From Braden Fisk, number 55, Michael Hoyt made a great play in the backfield on a running play. That's been something that I've been really impressed with so far. And then, the offenses has gotten some plays against the defense, but this defense is just coming in with so much energy. And we heard about that in the past with just the youth movement. But like I was saying with Tre'Davious White, he's coming out there doing things. Coach was really impressed with Cobie Durant today, who's filling in for Kyren Williams while Jacobs kind of catches his sea legs. Really impressive stuff out of him as well. And it's this is a sport of effort and big hits and big plays. And I just feel like the defense is there already. They are bringing that energy, whereas the offense is, I think, a little bit back on their heels a bit. Nothing that I'm worried about at this point, just because they're working through so many things schematically with a lot of new players on that side. So, yeah, I think, it's just been that energy level that's been unmistakable. And we're seeing all sorts of things from Verse as well. Lots of great stuff as well from Gary Klein from the LA Times wants to be on the show too now.
Love it.
I think the door's locked.
Our guy Skinny T, the celebrity at Rams camp. Love it. Yeah, tell Gary I said hi. I haven't seen him in a while. So great.
Sure.
No, I mean, it's great to hear, because the defense, and it's early, right? And like you said, the offense is going to there's nothing that I don't think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's anything to be concerned about with the offense as they get things going. But it's great to see the defense this early on is performing very well. And so really excited to hear that and see just when they get Kobie Turner back, who I believe is dealing with like a groin strain or something, kind of what that will look like with him in there. And obviously as Verse and Fisk and others really get acclimated more. And, Cameron Curl still brand new to this team. Tre'Davious White, as you alluded to, brand new to this team. I mean, there's so much newness outside of a handful of guys. So the fact that they're getting on that early, amazing. So let's talk a little bit about some one-on-one matchups. And we kind of talked a little bit about the show, but I saw some clips that our guy Nico, who was just making a cameo earlier, posted some one-on-one drills with receivers and DBs and stuff like, Puka Nacua out there and Tre'Davious White covering different guys and Jordan Whittingham against guys. So how have the one-on-one matchups looks and how have some of these DBs looked against this really talented receiving core?
The one that's really fun to watch and is just a standout and a fun back and forth is Cooper Kupp versus Quentin Lake. Quentin Lake has been taking a majority of the snaps in the slot against him. Coach McVay talked about what a versatile player he is, Quentin Lake, that is, and moving around in that star position, which I had that question going in. Are they going to continue moving on with that very versatile queen on the chessboard star position that Jalen Ramsey made famous a couple of years ago? Today, Quentin, Cooper Kupp's going to get the best out of most guys, and he's been winning these matchups for the most part. But today, Quentin Lake, huge pass breakup in the end zone to kind of end the day for the ones. So that's one that I've been it's been a lot of fun to watch. It always catches my eye. Another one that I was really impressed with Jordan Whittington. He went up against Trey Tomlinson and just left him in the dust to catch a touchdown pass as well. Trey Tomlinson, not much of a starter so far, but Jordan Whittington, he's now on my radar. Not specifically just for that play, but that play definitely stands out.
Real quick, sorry to cut you off, but just to double down on Whittington. Because I think there's a lot of unknown. I mean, 6th round pick, right? Out of Texas, big school, but production maybe didn't seem as high as maybe his skill set would allow. And so if you can talk about what you've seen, because the stuff I've seen and we've talked about is, it looks like he's a pretty damn good route runner. Looks like he's got good hands and catch at the point of attack. Like, just what little nuances have you seen maybe that it's like, okay, this kid has, little glimpses of things that can really fit in this offense?
Yeah, the most interesting thing that I could say is he's taken reps with Stafford. So that's a good sign. Obviously, it's a rotational thing. I'm not guessing that he's going to be a starter. I did make that bold prediction that he was going to be starting by the end of the year. Well, I'll stand by that as of right now. Well, if new information comes, maybe we'll change that. But, his route running, I think he's got a really complete route tree. Just really smooth, great in and out of breaks, and then just size. He's got great size. He can go up and win those balls. And great at the catch point. So all of those things are positives, and can't wait to see him in more of a real life situation. Maybe we'll get to see it. We'll probably see a lot of him in preseason as well as probably Tyler Johnson as well, who I wrote about last night too. And, not as good of a day today as he did yesterday. He had a fantastic day. Matthew Stafford took a rest day on the first padded practice on Monday. Today he was back in action. Nothing to worry about there. Only bring that up to say everybody was bumped up one. So Jimmy Garoppolo was working with the ones. Stetson Bennett was working with the twos. Stetson Bennett and Tyler Johnson just had something going that day. I don't know if the difference between Garoppolo's kind of more conservative play style and maybe Stetson Bennett's a little bit more of a gunslinger, that might have something to do with it. But yeah, those two guys had an incredible rapport and chemistry already, and he's another receiver I'm keeping my eye on.
Steady B and TJ. Okay. I like that duo. So, how has the infamous Steady B looked? I mean, just a fan favorite. Always, you ask fans, he's the next future Hall of Famer. How has he looked so far, being first time back in action since taking all of last season off after preseason?
Yeah, it's a hard one to judge. He's not working with the guys that are around him. He's not working with the number one receiver. He's not throwing to Cooper Kupp. He's throwing to the guys down on the depth chart. Your Drake Stoops. And, yesterday, like I was saying, he was working with Tutu Atwell and Tyler Johnson. So, jury's still out on him. The one thing I'll say is that role that John Wolford was in and Bryce Perkins was in when they were the backups is in that scout team role. That's what Sean McVay really commented on is, when they're unable to contain the pocket, he can show the defense what it's going to look like to go against like guys like Josh Allen and some of those more run heavy quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket and make something happen. I'm still on the fence with Stetson Bennett. Some good throws, some bad throws. Lots of stuff, as Sean McVay likes to say, lots of stuff to clean up out there.
Oh man, well you're getting Stetson believers all fired up comparing him to Josh Allen. So if they take that if they take anything out of context, that'll be the one they take out of context.
Aggregate it.
Kenny T compares Stetson Bennett to Josh Allen with his pocket presence and versatility out of the pocket. So boom. Clip that.
Only as a scout team, only as a member, guys.
No, it's great. So progress is good. Jimmy G's looked, okay as
he looks like he looks like Jimmy G.
G.
Yeah, very conservative. He's not pushing the ball down the field. There was a play yesterday actually. Who was he throwing to? One of the tight ends. I want to say maybe it was Davis Allen. It looks a lot like that play in the Super Bowl that lost the 49ers. That first Super Bowl just kind of overshot him. Today he undershot Tyler Johnson on a play. So, you take the good with the bad. Low ceiling, high floor kind of guy. But I feel a lot better having him in there just in case Stafford does go down with an injury. If he has to miss some time, I'd rather have Garoppolo in there at this time.
At this time, there you go. So even though he'll miss the first two games, but hey, if Stafford goes down that early, the season's over anyway. So I don't think there's not much to be worried about at that point. So, but great. It sounds like camp's been awesome. Is there any? And I'm putting you on the spot here, but maybe any under the radar guys or just camp darlings you've kind of fallen in love with? You've seen every year. I mean, Puka Nacua was kind of that guy last year, right? Came out of nowhere and it was like, oh, this guy's having a really good camp for a 5th round pick. And obviously the rest is history. Is there a guy on either side of the ball that, we know who they are, but you're like, this guy's really showing out and impressing me and might be someone to really keep an eye on as preseason starts?
There is a guy. He's from Rutgers. His number's 54. Ooh. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's a linebacker though. And every year I fall in love with a guy like this who's kind of like undrafted free agent, maybe smaller school. Rutgers isn't necessarily a smaller school, but this is my guy. This is my guy so far. He's been all over the field. I expected Omar Spates to kind of really make some showing. This guy, his name, whatever his name is, number 54. I mean, he's been really impressive. I don't know if there's a spot for him on the 53-man roster, but every year there's one of these guys that just has this kind of quality about him where he's on top of things. He's always making plays, and I'm always looking down at the roster going 54. And so that's my guy for this camp, and I'll have an article up about him shortly, and I'll figure out this pronunciation.
You want me to give it a shot?
Yes.
So he actually joined. You knew this, but just so fans know, he actually joined entered the NFL in 22. He's been on Tampa Bay, Denver, New England, Kansas City, now the Rams. So well traveled, but obviously fighting his way. He stayed in the league. Olakunle Fatukasi is my guess for that name.
That's good.
Strong.
That's
name.
good. Yeah.
Olakunle Fatukasi. I mean, I think Fatukasi seems right, but Olakunle, I don't know if I'm saying that right. So apologize, OF, if we're not only fans, but Fatakusa, if we're mispronouncing your name. But great to hear. So your little camp darling there. Okay. I mean, it's impressive if, like you said, like Omar Spates is a guy that we're like, oh, this guy probably should have been drafted, and we get him in the undrafted free agent, and this guy's balling out more than him thus far. I think that's got to be exciting for him. And every year this happens for every team. There's one guy that's no one's heard of, undrafted, and they make a difference. And OF, that could be him.
Absolutely. Rooting for him.
So, Yeah, I think question wise, I mean, it sounds like it's been a great camp so far. Any other updates you need to provide, or are we good on that front? And we'll just keep pushing on and move forward. And obviously, we'll do another camp update in a couple days.
You know, Bobby Brown's been a guy I've been keeping my eye on, and he's made some plays out there. I can definitely say that. A funny moment at the press conference afterwards, the great Jordan Rodriguez of The Athletic asked about specifically Bobby Brown kind of coming out a little bit early, and Sean McVay said, apparently he just wanted to take his pads off a little early, and he cursed under his breath the name of Bobby Brown. So still a guy with a question mark for me. We've been rooting for him to make a difference, to kind of crack his way into the starting rotation. 27% of snap share last year. Still a question mark, but they need one of these defensive linemen to step up so they have a nice solid rotation with Fisk and Kobie Turner in there. So let's keep our minds on Bobby Brown. Let's say a prayer for Bobby Brown.
Yeah, I mean, that's not good. I'm glad you shared that. That's when you're a guy that's kind of been a bubble player, underperformed for what the expectation were, and then you're kind of leaving practice. I don't want to make a big deal of it, but when you're leaving practice early, like that's not good. Like that's a work ethic thing, right? Like you don't want it as bad as the rest of your teammates. So I mean, that opens the door for guys like Laurel Murchison and some of these other Deshaun Mathis, some of these other guys that potentially, Deshaun Johnson, some of these other guys that maybe are hungrier and less talented, but hungrier. I mean, how many times have we seen in the league where heart outlasts skill? I mean, we see it all the time. And I'm not saying, again, we don't want to make this into some huge deal, but if that's already happening 7 days into camp, skipping out early, I think it's something to monitor. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think that's definitely, I don't know. It's not great. It's not great. Not a great look.
Yeah. McVay said that at his press conference. So I'm not talking outside of school.
Yeah.
I'm not breaking any rules around here, but yeah, it's going to be fascinating. We also had Chase Blackburn at the podium after practice as well, talking all things kickoff.
Nice.
You know, he still seems pretty stumped by the whole thing. It's going to be fascinating what these new kickoff rules look like. And the one thing that he did drop was pay attention to things coming out at these 4 team practices that they're going to do. The first one coming up soon, I believe, is the Chargers. Not too far away from now. Yeah. So if there's news that comes out about that, we'll be sure to report it. But McVay said, don't expect fireworks on that front during the preseason games. Everybody's going to keep everything pretty close to the chest. But it's just going to be so interesting to see what this looks like. And remembering all the rules is going to be fascinating too. Out of the back of the end zone, landing zone, who touches the ball. Really interesting.
I love it. It's good. It's like when they changed the PAT, it just made things more interesting, made it more fascinating. It wasn't automatic. That's great. Okay, we'll end with this then. And in training camp, all they're doing is kicking against air anyway. But any of our guy Cardi in the USA updates? How's the rookie kicker looked, who's hopefully going to save our dreams of good special teams play?
Well, so they have a secret field that's to my left, which is a converted baseball field, where they've been doing pretty much all of the special teams work, and they've kept media out of that, mostly for the reason to keep what they're doing secret. Occasionally, they'll roll out the skinny posts, which is a narrower uprights, and he's been good. Skinny tees and skinny posts, and he's been good from 40 and 50 yards. He's hit all five of the kicks that I've seen so far.
Nice.
So I only have good news to report so far.
Love it. Cardi in the USA. Let's get it going. So, well, great. Well, Skinny T live in action at LMU, Los Angeles Rams training camp 2024. He will be there throughout the entire camp for media availability. We will have him, obviously back. He's host of the show, but we'll be back with him at training camp in just a couple days. We'll try to keep these consistent. We will keep these consistent. And obviously, as alluded to, tons of articles up at LAFBnetwork.com with a lot more breakdowns and nuance and better writing than I can talk. So go and check those out as well. So Skinny, keep up the great work. Glad you're having a blast. And appreciate it. Great updates there.
Thanks so much. This was always fantastic. Love you guys.
Fantastic. Yeah. So thank you all for tuning in. If you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, if you're not on YouTube, go to Rams LAFB. That is our channel. We would love it if you'd like and subscribe. It helps us out. You can always watch or listen on our website, LAFBnetwork.com, or anywhere you get your podcast. Just search the Rams Skinny on Twitter, Instagram, anywhere. At LAFB Network is the main handle. At RL Anderson LAFB and at Ryan Dyrd LAFB is myself. Everyone, be well, stay blessed. Go Rams. We'll talk to you all in a couple days.